In this video, we'd like to introduce the GDPR Toolbox for Microsoft Dynamics NAV. My name is Hendrik Vogelpohl from TSO-DATA, the manufacturer of this NAV add-on. The GDPR Toolbox is an integrated NAV module that helps you meet GDPR data and process requirements in NAV. The module is integrated directly into NAV so that users work in a familiar interface. Unlike the Microsoft approach, however, no update is required and the add-on is available for current and older NAV versions. Now let's see what the GDPR Toolbox can do. First, why we store personal data in NAV and where it is stored. It also means that the data is not stored indefinitely, so that you can now also set and take into account deadlines for storing the data. If you receive requests from affected persons, you can process and document them. The GDPR Toolbox also supports you in process documentation through user rights and access evaluations. When you create personal data, you can include additional information that answers the question, where do the data I am recording come from? The origin of the data. Why are these data processed? Why do I need these data? The reason for data collection. How has the data subject consented to the processing of the data? The consent form. What is the planned use for the data? The processing purposes. There are many areas in NAV where personal data can be stored. To define these areas, you can define the data structures, flexibility, for example, for employees or sales activities. The respective data structure is a collection of tables that can contain both standard tables and individual tables and maps corresponding hierarchies. You can also insert fields from your tables there, both standard fields and individual fields that potentially contain personal data. You can also define the data types in the tables, the protection classes, and the security level for the data stored there. You can define data and rules on how to deal with the data when it is no longer to be retained. Should these data records be deleted? Or should the information in the fields be made anonymous? You can define the rules for when the corresponding actions of deletion or anonymization are to take place. The Toolbox Setup package already includes a data template for this. To define the rules what should happen if the data should and may no longer be kept, there are different areas. You can define time defaults for the respective tables. If these default values are reached for a data record, proposals for deletion or anonymization, the corresponding data can be generated. If a corresponding data record is proposed, you can carry out this deletion or, if necessary, you can also move it and enter the reasons for the move. If you receive requests from affected persons, you now have the option of managing them. Firstly, the generated data of the person making the request and how the person has verified that he or she is also the person in question. In addition, you have the option of linking the request with the corresponding master data in NAV and including the corresponding request, such as the right to information. The processing status is documented in the system and can be displayed in the GDPR Toolbox profile, for example. In accordance with the rights of the data subjects, e.g. for information on personal data, the right to correct the data, the deletion or anonymization of persons or personal data, and the right to transferability of the data, the GDPR Toolbox was used. The process documentation in NAV is supported by additional report that we provide. This is a report on the data structure with tables and fields, where the relevant data is stored, and also which users have access to these corresponding tables. As you can see, the GDPR Toolbox offers a holistic approach to effectively map your data protection requirements in NAV. Please use the further information on our website and contact your NAV partner or us for prices and further information.